in our cheeks and our faces, our arms, we have all types of colors blended, skin colors, of course, but there's always a tendency of color, no? It can be more blue, can be more purple, depending on the shadow, more green, etc. These are super subtle colors. What I do is I reinforce these colors. So basically I make them stronger and I play from the reality, I exaggerate it and I make it more bold. Hello, my name is Alicia. I come from Spain, from Barcelona, but I've been living in Berlin for already 9 years. And I'm a figurative painter, focusing in portraits on women. I would say it all starts when I come to Berlin. I've been always a crafty person, doing maybe other disciplines, but at start in Berlin, I got very inspired by the diverse cultures that we have here, all the galleries and so on, and I started painting very casually at home, doing a couple of courses, and since then I've been always, with painting. My idea is not to only do lines, but achieve the main structure of the painting. So for example, the main shapes, I would start filling them in with random colors just to understand the dimensions, and basically filling the space and the entire canvas just to understand the composition. The interest that I have for art, it comes actually since I was a kid. Not that I was painting a lot per se, but I've always experienced this and breathed that from my family, my mother's side. My grandfather used to be a painter, specialized in aquarelle, but specifically in oil painting, but also my auntie. I have very good memories when I was a kid painting with my auntie. For me, that was a very good opportunity to get to learn from her and also have it integrated from the beginning, or always from the childhood. So I put a lot of importance in the values of the colors, so lighter values for the lights and darker values for the shadows. Here, for me, what's important is to use the right values, not a specific color, but always use the right value depending on the versus the reference. As I go frequently to museums, I like to collect the art, the paintings from my favorite painters. This one, for example, is from Picasso. Actually, I was painting it. That was one of the first paintings that I was doing. So at the beginning, I started not painting from reference photo, but just copying other existing paintings. So that is a good example of it. When it comes to artists, one big inspiration is Joaquin Sorolla, who is a compatriot, a Spanish painter, an impressionist. And actually, funny thing that I used to follow him a lot, even visited his museum in Madrid. And this is the moment where I realized that actually I have some paintings of him copied, of course, by my grandfather, but some paintings of him at home. And then Max Liebermann, who is another impressionist, a German one, who used to live in Berlin. And then contemporary artists, I usually follow oil painting, figurative artists such as Alex de Marcos. And with time, I started realizing naturally what things I like the most. Portraits and bodies are something that interests me a lot in painting. It all started because, I started painting myself, just approaching my insecurities, and a way to actually empower these insecurities by just looking at this, and getting used to it and seeing the beauty out of it and converting this into art. So out of this, now what I'm looking forward is getting more into painting personal projects or stories behind. So the idea is to collect a series of paintings that are insecurities of different women, can be portrait or bodies, to empower these people and actually translate an insecurity or a fear that you can have into art. Because actually, I think that with the perspective of time, you look backwards and you think, oh, actually I was perfectly imperfect, no? Like you appreciate who you were. And this is something that I would like to connect and to build up with my paintings. In our cheeks and our faces, our arms, we have all types of colors blended, skin colors, of course, but there's always a tendency of color. No, it can be more blue, can be more purple depending on the shadow, more green, etc. These are super subtle colors. What I do is I reinforce these colors. So basically I make them stronger and I play from the reality, I exaggerate it and I make it more bold. Yeah, Berlin, I would say that Berlin influenced me both personally and in my paintings. First of all, for myself, it's a city that changed me because I moved here when I was 23 and it really gave me a lot of freedom to be myself and experience different things that I like and maybe back at home I didn't have the opportunity. I like to create collage with newspapers. So for example, this one has different articles about COVID time. This was done in 2019 when COVID was just hitting. And basically it's expressing the anxiety that we all had during this time, the lack of fresh air. And I was basically putting different keywords extracted from newspapers into the painting. And yeah, I really like to mix different mediums. So usually I'm painting at home, but also I go once a week to an atelier called Park Gallery. I have there my teacher or mentor, who is basically just not teaching theory to all the students, but basically coming to your painting, to your project and giving some guideline and instruction on how to approach the painting, the project that you're running. In this atelier, what I really like is that it's a community of people, very diverse. So diversity in terms of ages, diversity in terms of backgrounds, but also mediums that they are using, advanced to beginner level. Painting is usually very intimate and can be very lonely, especially when you do it at home. When you go to a space like this, I think it's super cool that you can really have meaningful conversations around the specific topic of painting, the process, but also you can share and appreciate others' processes, right? And this is the beauty of it, what I like, because I might be painting something with oil, but next to me I have a woman, an old lady, for example, doing abstract art with acrylics. Next to it, there's another person doing aquarelle, and everyone has a very different way of doing, thinking and processing it, so it's super beautiful. The thing that I enjoy the most when I'm painting is, I would say, this state of mind. Usually I paint in sessions of 3 hours or 4, specifically for that. Because first you need to prepare your paints, your materials and so on, but it also takes effort for you to really focus and enter the project. And at some point when I really connect with the reference photo that I'm painting and the canvas and I start looking at both and the rest is disconnecting, this is the best moment where I enjoy it. And basically, I call it meditation because I'm not thinking about anything else. It's not mathematic, it's not anything conscious, but it's completely like a meditation. So super intuitive. This painting is one of my favorites in terms of complexity, but also the expressions that I think says. I have applied a lot of painting. This is made with oil, and basically the technique here was working with spatula and directly applying the entire paint into the canvas. What's important here, it's not the exact skin color, but what's important here is the value. So trying to find the exact lightness of the painting, of the shadow. Across my paintings, I'm using a lot blue. For me, it's a very nostalgic and Mediterranean color. So it's something that I like to use a lot in various tonalities. So for example, here we see the face, which is actually impacted by a wave, we could say, that represents the thoughts that she might be having. I like to transmit a feeling or an emotion through a painting. How I do this, putting specific colors, so I really like to use bold colors, loose strokes, for example, and I'm always focusing on a reference photo that is already of a person wanting to say something. You might see a woman with closed eyes, with a very strong inner emotion, such as looking for freedom, feeling of release. Yeah, so these are emotions that me, generally, I feel very connected, and I like to express through my paintings and hopefully touch people with this. I still don't have a website, but I'm starting to work more posting my paintings in Instagram, just because you realize that there's a beautiful community out there, people who just appreciate your art, and that's very nice to hear. Not to just keep it at home for yourself. Ideally, an exhibition one day, that would be my dream. And again, around the topic of women portraits, displaying these insecurities or fears that we have sometimes as inner emotions, and converting them into pieces of art. So I would really like to start now in a series of paintings around it.